Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to the June 25th, 2018 special called meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. And we will begin, as we always do, with an invocation. And I'd like to call on Magistrate Bruce Todd to lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and your presence, realizing that you're a God that provides for us, protects us, and we thank you for that. We just ask that you be with this meeting this morning, masters, and help us. We know our wisdom comes from you, Lord, and we just ask you to give us the wisdom to handle the business today. And we just ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Can you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Here.
Magistrate Todd.
Here.
Magistrate Alexander.
Here.
Magistrate Warren.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Thank you. And again, we welcome all of you, especially our special guest, Mr. Anthony over here to my right, who's going to be helping Beth Smith today. Keep her straight. I know that's a tough job, but I'm glad you're with us. We required this special called meeting to consider a couple bits of business before the end of the fiscal year, one of which we learned about at the last fiscal court meeting regarding a memorandum of agreement on a bond for SCAPS, which is a company that recently purchased the Matrix Composites facility in Henderson. And I'd like to call back to the podium Mr. Mark Franklin from Stolking and Ogden, representative of SCAPS, to remind us about the type of bond we're discussing and answer any questions you might have since our last meeting. Mark?
Good morning. Thank you for having this special call meeting for us. I appreciate it. Brian, who's with me at the last meeting, unfortunately couldn't be here today. He had to travel for business, but we told him we could handle it for the court, and he will be back with us when we present an ordinance to the court for consideration, assuming the resolution is adopted today. This bond will be a tax-exempt bond for federal income tax purposes. That means that the company will be able to save interest costs when it finances the facility. As you'll recall, the reason this has sort of been a little bit of a rush is that facility was purchased a little less than 2 months ago, and under the federal income tax rules, if we had the county adopt a resolution within 60 days of the purchase date, the facility is eligible to be rolled into the bond issue. So they could take their cost that they spent, add that to the bond issue, and then use that, save interest on the ultimate financing for the facility with Wells Fargo, which will be the bond purchaser in this case. This is a preliminary resolution that really serves a federal income tax purpose to capture those costs. The ultimate approval of the bonds will be provided by an ordinance to be presented and approved by the county, along with all the financing documents at a later date. The bonds, once issued, will be payable solely by monies provided by SCAPS, not by the county. These will not be what we call general obligations of the county, but they'll be special limited obligations payable solely by monies provided by SCAPS. Wells Fargo understands that. Wells Fargo will not look to the county to make any kind of payment with regards to the bonds. We appreciate the county attorney's review of the documents. We were able to speak with him on Friday and talk through any issues he had. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have today after having an opportunity to review the document over the weekend.
I'll open it up to any questions any of you have. I think it's important to note that in the memorandum of agreement, which is in the second half of your stack, I think Mr. Franklin may have gone to the step of emphasizing Section 8 in caps, all bold, the fact that this does not constitute a general obligation of the county in any form. It is not a property tax waiver. It is not a responsibility of the county. It is similar to other bonds you have passed for organizations that we, I think, mentioned at the last fiscal court meeting, such as Methodist Hospital.
It doesn't affect our bonding if we want to bond it.
Does not count against our bonding capacity, bond rating.
That is correct. That's right. It has no implication on any type of bonding you may do for yourself.
It does provide a bit of a discount on federal taxes on interest for SCAPS.
Correct.
So it aids them in a way and helps lower their interest rate on the financing they're going to get from Wells Fargo. So this is a small thing we can do to help them along and helping that facility and helping that business. So what I'm going to have the clerk do is read a summary of the resolution, if you don't mind. We don't have to read the entire document, but it does encapsulate what we're doing here today. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have him do that.
Resolution of the Fiscal Court of the County of Henderson, Kentucky, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of agreement by and between the county and PBR Incorporated, DBA SCAPS Industries, a Georgia corporation, or any affiliate thereof, relating to the acquisition, construction, equipping, and installation of an industrial project of the company consisting of certain facilities and properties within the geographic boundaries of the county, agreeing to undertake the issuance of revenue bonds at the appropriate time to pay certain costs of acquiring, construction, installing, and equipping the facilities, and taking other preliminary actions.
Entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'd be remiss if I didn't offer Assistant County Attorney Kyle Owens any opportunity to chime in anything. I know you discussed this briefly with Mr. Gold, and everything is cool with you.
I had spoke to Steve about this resolution and memorandum of agreement earlier today and even on Friday, and he had no issues with it. He has worked with Mark to come up with this version of the copy, and it's acceptable for us. And
Excellent.
it is very similar to the ones we've done in the past as well, Judge. I'd just like to note that.
Terrific. Any other comments or questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson?
Aye.
Magistrate Todd?
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander?
Aye.
Magistrate Warren?
Aye.
Magistrate Putman?
Aye.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Mark. We'll work with you to make sure we get this documentation to you when and how you need it. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help.
Next on the agenda is a discussion about a potential option on land near the detention center. As you know, this has been an ongoing discussion about potential to acquire ground that would both enable the detention center to grow in the future if need be and offer other advantages. And after some new details, new potential project, we had discussions last week. And the result of those discussions is a resolution you see before you in your packets, agreeing to purchase of an option on 2 pieces of ground on Borax Drive. I wanted to call Amy Brady, Jailer Amy Brady, to the podium, please, to offer any further comment on this that you'd like to make. I know the ultimate goal here, I think, is to help facilitate a potential tenant on one of these pieces of ground whose agreement could end up paying for the ground in total, which would be terrific. And this may be the first step towards that, correct?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I guess everybody got the memo for casual Monday. We've been in discussion with the Department of Corrections and with the new programs that are out and using inmate labor. They are looking for us to build a parole office on the land on the corner of 60 and Borax. And that is a minimum of 8 years on a lease. And with the use of inmate labor, it significantly reduces the building price, and plus it gives a trade skill back to the inmates that they will have once they're released. We've met several times between Magistrate Warren, jail magistrates, and the judge and county attorney, and we've discussed this, and I'm really hoping that this is something that we can do.
So not only does this allow you room to grow in the future, it also provides professional career training for inmates. It puts the detention center in the county in the position of being a landlord on a revenue-producing project that also benefits probation and parole.
Correct.
So there are a lot of wins here, and we still have to negotiate some of the details of the agreement with probation and parole, but this would be a first step towards making sure that while we negotiate those details, the land stays available to us.
Correct.
So that is the resolution before you. Any comments that Magistrate Warren or Magistrate Wilkerson or Todd would like to throw in?
My point out, the only thing I do want to point out is that this is for 90 days. So hopefully we can get those terms worked out. I know Hal's here. The $20,000 that we are paying to Mr. Danheiser is not refundable. So that we do feel like, of course, we're going to pursue it. I know Carter has talked about going ahead and paying for it, but I felt like the option may be the best route to go, which gives us time to finalize that. But other than that, that's the only change in the agreement we had.
And the $20,000 would be ultimately applied towards the purchase price if we follow through
Correct.
on the deal.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I think that's-
Just to mention, Judge and Amy, and you know, at all the conferences that we attend, it seems like revenue streams are drying up. Jails could potentially be hurt going forward based on the way we operate today. So this is another avenue that counties are going to be looking at as far as these rehab or retraining facilities, which is going to be the next probably revenue producer. So good job on putting all that together, Amy. I applaud you.
Thank you. The Department of Corrections, the state director for the substance abuse program, is bringing a committee down tomorrow to finalize a pilot program in our jail for 30 male inmates, and part of their program for their substance abuse treatment is during the day they do have to work. So that's going to be very, very beneficial.
They can immediately start on this project as soon as the agreement's put together. The other thing I liked is that the total potential of the 8-year lease, which is typical for probation and parole, 8 years, and potentially beyond, of course, could end up, the revenue produced from that could pay for the cost of the project, both the acquisition of both parcels and the cost of the building, or could be very close to it.
It would be paid for well before the end of that lease.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great arrangement, I think, and one that made me a lot more open to the idea. So we have a resolution before us. If anybody else has any other comments they'd like to make, and I do appreciate your work on this and continue work. There's a little bit more work to do, but we'll get on to that quickly. And in the meantime, I'll have the clerk read this resolution.
Resolution authorizing county judge executive to execute option agreement for the purchase of real estate in Henderson County. Whereas Henderson County Fiscal Court has the authority to purchase real property for use of the county as expressly authorized by KRS 670801B. Whereas Henderson County Fiscal Court wishes to enter into an option to purchase certain real property located near the Henderson County Detention Center in Henderson County to allow the jailer to solidify plans for future use and thereafter present said plans to the Henderson Fiscal Court during the option period set forth in the option agreement for the purchase of real estate, hereinafter option agreement. Whereas the owners of the aforementioned real property are agreeable to provide Henderson County an option to purchase said real property, and the parties have negotiated proposed terms of the option agreement, a copy of which is attached hereto. Whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court has reviewed the terms and conditions of the attached option agreement and believes that entering into the option agreement is in the best interests of the residents of Henderson County. Whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court wishes to authorize the Henderson County Judge Executive to execute the attached option agreement and to authorize the Henderson County Treasurer to forward the option price as defined therein. Now there be it resolved by the Henderson Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Kentucky, as follows. That the Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby authorizes and directs County Judge Executive Brad Schneider to execute the attached option agreement. That the Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby authorizes Henderson County Treasurer to forward an option price as set forth in Section 3 of the option agreement upon execution of the option agreement by all parties thereto.
Motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions?
I would be remiss. I made the motion, and I think it's a great thing. I still have concerns, but with the 20,000, if something happens and we're 20,000 out, we're out. If something happens and we just purchase the land outright, we still have land that we could sell or use. But that's just my only concern. But without prolonging this thing we've been going through, I think we should go ahead and go with this one. Thank you.
I'll also add that the $20,000 is coming out of jail's current budget. It is available in the budget. We do not have to have a budget amendment or add money to the budget to make this purchase, and which is also makes it more valuable. So,
and also, I think you've done a good job. You saw a need for the land and figured out a way to pay for it. It's no cost to the taxpayers, hopefully, and that's a good thing. Anytime you can do that, so good job.
Thank you.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Amy. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you all.
I'd like to call up Treasurer Brenda Ryder for a couple end-of-year bits of details to clean up, some transfers and claims.
Okay, for line transfers, 2 recycling office supplies, the amount of $1,440. 2 parks and program supplies, $800. Both of these for a total of $2,240 coming from the road contracted construction appropriation line. Also, in anticipation of the purchase option to be finalized prior to June 30th, transferring in the jail fund from the equipment repairs line $20,000 to the building repairs line $20,000. With this also, provided that everything is done prior to June 30th, a check to be written to Hahn Realty Co-op Escrow in the amount of $20,000. Then I have additional claims. In the road fund to Mulzer Stone in the amount of $22,414.27. This is for materials and will come from the contracted construction line. The second to Visa in the amount of $819. This is for Parks Events Supplies, and this will come from Parks and Programs Supplies appropriation line. The third to Evansville Courier in the amount of $1,440. This is advertising for the waste tire collection event for the recycling, which will come out of the recycling office supplies line. The fourth, for the road department, equipment marketing, $564.56 for maintenance and repairs of road equipment. The LGEA fund, IMCO, in the amount of $4,684.17. This will come from the state's grant line, and this is for the 1718 Kentucky Pride Grant. The last one, Waste Quip, in the amount of $7,883. This also comes from the state grants appropriation line and is for the 1718 Kentucky Pride Grant.
Motion to accept those transfers and claims.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other questions of Treasurer Ryder? I think the last time we'll do this fiscal year, I hope.
This is it.
Good job, and we are coming down to the end of another successful fiscal year, and I appreciate your work and the work of all the department heads again. So we have a motion and a second, correct? Please call the roll.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave. See you next fiscal year.